So down in Texas, I worked for Corteva on the chemistry side of things. And it kind of went hand in hand with the Pioneer, like territory managers, and kind of went to some of their field days and kind of gave kind of a talk at their field days about the chemistries and all that. But I mean, we could kind of gauge the pressure down in the Mexico border. At the Rio Grande, you kind of see it within the cotton, the soybeans, your sorghum. You kind of see the pests that moved from the south, whether it was disease pressure or insect pressure, had moved up north to like the panhandle of Texas, and you kind of forewarn the growers in the panhandle that it was coming. And the ones down the border, they were kind of the guinea pigs, and it wasn't the easiest for them to be the guinea pigs, but yeah, that was kind of. And then in Kansas, I worked for CropQuest, so I never worked in Oklahoma when I was.
Oh, really?
There. No. So I always ventured out somehow.
CropQuest is like a agronomic scouting service. Okay.
Yep. I actually, before I got an offer from Corteva, I got an offer from Sesico. So it's a sesame company that makes like sesame seeds, and they grow those in Oklahoma, and it was going to be a pretty neat experience, but I'm glad I didn't do it because it wouldn't be fun. So
seems to have worked out well.
Yeah.
Well, this is that 5737. I was just saying, it seems like it's maybe a little bit full season for our latitudes. They really like it as you move south in the state, but from what we've seen, whether it's the fact that it doesn't get enough GDUs or enough sunlight to kind of power the factory up here this far north, it hasn't been head and shoulders above on yield. So there's probably earlier maturing, better dry down hybrids in some of the shorter season stuff. 7. We can kind of talk through positioning differences on them. So 487 is going to be, or it is available as a PCE, a chrome, and a conventional. Okay, so they're not bringing the Vorseed version of it forward. Okay. It was available as a chrome only. We didn't have the AM version. So this is one of those where going to the new trait package opened up some genetics that we couldn't previously access. So that was kind of a nice, kind of a surprise. Where I like this one is a little bit more variable soils. It's an Aquamax, so it can handle light, droughty ground, where 4511 is probably better suited to high productivity, high yield level types.
So it's kind of for your more variable ground.
Yep. It has top end too, but I think 4511 probably in terms of where it fits, it's got a little bit more top end to it. I don't know if seems like we're on a hill or something here where we had some late emergence.
Definitely.
And this is one almost all the time on 487 you'll see a little bit of a nose on the end of the ear. It's just kind of a characteristic of the hybrid. It's not that it had pollination issues, it's just even under perfect pollination conditions you're going background of it.
I'm an honest salesman.
Yep.
Sometimes it'll get me probably in trouble, but most of the time it's not a bad thing.
That's our policy.
And so like that 105 day, you know, if you talk to reps further south in the state, they'd say, oh man, that's the one we really like. But from what we've seen up here, it doesn't trip the trigger. So I'm not going to try to position it. just because it's got some name notoriety further south. 4511, this isn't, I would say, really a representative ear of what it can do. It's one of those hybrids that when you're walking through it at the end of the season, it's a self-defense kind of ear. Like baseball bats whacking you as you're walking down the row. So dual purpose, might go for high moisture or silage or snaplage.
Okay.
But it would still get dry enough if it needs to go to town, or if the guy's got his own dryer system. So it's pretty versatile. We really like it. Got some high-end yield to it. Probably another good thing to point out. One thing that I'm seeing a lot of this year, when you start splitting cobs open and counting rows around, is with that early season cold weather, slow root growth, slow nutrient uptake, we lost 2 rows around in a lot of instances. So this one, so this one's only 14 around. In a lot of cases, this would throw a 16 around ear. Into the plant. We're not going to have quite as many groceries to form an ear, so we got to pare back the budget. So the number of rows around is set earlier on, like V3 to V5, before the number of rows long. So think back to that ugly pale green yellow corn that we had the end of May, beginning of June. That's one of the consequences, is the plant was getting the signal, let's not swing for the fences, try to put on 12 or 14 rows around. And
we're dropping 35.5 too here in 30-inch rows, which has a big effect too.
Yeah.
We don't get that baseball
You're on
bat size
what rows?
ears. 30s.
30s?
Yeah.
And this was soys last year, or beets?
Yeah, this was soybeans
This was
last
soys.
year.
Okay. Yep. That's the 104 day. No, I mean, it's good
It'll probably
for you
be
to
brought
have
up at some point.
a talking point. So I think a lot of that is quieted down. You know, earlier on, we don't have the hybrid in here. It's in some of our silage plots. But 13777 down in the I-States was really getting beat up about tassel wrap. It's also the highest price thing on our price card because it's high yielding. So I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship being played by some of our competitors of trying to get a ding on a hybrid that they couldn't keep up with. But the other thing that I talked through with a lot of guys about tassel wrap, they would come out here and the silks would be out. You know, fresh silks would be out of the end of their husk. And they'd say, oh man, there's no tassel out. You know, there's no pollen being shed. That's actually the way we prefer it.
Yep.
So silks are 95% water. Soil moisture to draw into the plant. Each one of these cells gets just a little bit longer and a little bit longer, and then so we end up with these long silks that are hanging out here. Okay, silks will stay viable for a long time to receive pollen, a lot longer than pollen stays viable when it starts to get shed. So a lot of the work that we've done on drought tolerance is, in a dry environment, we want those silks to begin the emerging process earlier, because if you don't have abundant moisture, these cells are all going to be shorter, and it might take an extra day or 2 or 3 to push the end of the silks out of the husk in order to be able to receive the pollen.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yep.
So the fact that we had tassels covered with a leaf or two, you know, it takes about 3 days of normal weather emerge, and I mean, you know, from your seed corn days, that nick is pretty important. Trying to line that up. So
See, one thing I ran into was timing of the fungicide application too. On these, if you look at the ears are a little bit shorter. I probably wasn't at optimum time to be applying that fungicide. With this hybrid being as full of season, it was behind most of the rest of the plot. Everything we've looked at so far, fuller season.
yeah. So most of the guys, I think part of it too is when we're out scouting for tar spot now and other diseases mid-season, guys didn't used to pay attention to, oh man, is my corn pollinating right now? And then all of a sudden this tassel wrap topic started. They're out here looking and they're, oh my god, the silks are out. There's no pollen.
Yeah.
I mean, 45 will get balled up in there, and you do run into a random patch where it doesn't pollinate the kernels. But here, even 4511 looks almost perfect. You know, you don't see anything missing.
I haven't run into any bad pollination
No,
on my own farm.
I've got one field at home that I really need to put boots on the ground to go check, because it was really dry in pollination, but sometimes it's not a bad thing.
Right.
As long as they have the profile to support it. So.
Yeah, and that's so a lot of those same guys that were panicking over tassel wrap, I'd say, let's give it 3 days and go back and look. And, you know, you don't hear any other panic from them because we got through the pollination process just
Social media stuff.
Yeah, we have
It's
17 different hybrids on this farm this year. Here
in the plot or on
on the whole farm.
Still next to?
Yes, we do.
See ya. I want to put some on some beets for early dig. I want to try to line it up to where we can spray.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to go on with your last fungicide, but it's it's very risky to do, because it's like a way it was explained, because I wanted to call somebody out, a Heritage Stoller guy.
Yeah.
Out in the valley.
Right.
And I got a hold of him. His name's Fred Lukens. He's been selling it for a long time, like 10, 15 years, I think is what he said. And he said that he gave me the program, and we're sticking to the program, other than I haven't done the early dig yet. Because the early dig, he said it's like a $200 an acre return.
Wow.
How much sugar you put into the beet.
Because the idea is you're relocating the sugar into the beet earlier.
Yeah.
With those.
The way it was
That's
explained
the
to
sugar
me.
mover or whatever? That's
yeah,
the product?
I think so. So the way it was explained to me is, you have the last fungicide or whatever your timing is, and then you come in 12 to 14 days later, harvest it, and take it to factory. But what it's supposed to be doing is tricking that plant into thinking, hey,
Right.
I'm done putting leaf growth on, so let's start putting it into the root. But it's a double-edged sword if you don't treat it right, because if you don't harvest it in 14 days,
Right.
you get
Your canopy's going to pot.
and
Yeah.
that starts pulling sugars out of the beet back into the leaves.
Yeah, yeah.
So then you're like, oh crap. Then you start losing sugar in a hurry. So I mean,
So the next time Jenna has you cover a
I'm-
last-minute early dig,
that's what I'm like. I'm glad that she's in the position she's in, because I'd like to be able to pull some of that and see.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we'll play it with a drone probably, just because of how you can do half of a field pretty easy.
Yeah.
This one from here is one of the darkest green of the plot.
This one?
Yeah, it stands out.
So this is an RC product. So that stands for research commercial. It would be like first year of introduction. We had a few bags of this. I can't remember if you had like 8 bags or 12 bags or something. But basically what we try to do in addition to these PKP sets is, if we have some full bags that you can do a high volume hybrid like a 9955 or 0035, the idea being, if you can strip out a 40 somewhere, that gives you really good data. You've got so many side-by-side strips, even if it's just harvested with a yield monitor, gives you some really good information, gets it in different environments.
Yep.
But that's pretty commonly something that we'll do with brand new hybrids, is if we've got a few bags, try to place it with some key growers and say, hey, you really like 0035, this is one that could complement it, let's get some data, kind of thing. So this one will be available as a PCE and a Vorseed. 0035 has the old trait packages of the AM, Chrome, and a convention.
Okay.
There's talk that we may bring a PCE or a Vorseed version of 0035, but again,
So this one.
this is the 01851.
Okay.
Yep.
So when they say intro, that's new for this year.
Correct.
Okay.
And then, so intro is brand new. New is like
New
ramping up
PCE
volume.
and.
Well,
Oh,
and
oh, I
so
see.
this is actually 2 years old. These ones, new in terms of younger in the lineup.
Okay.
But intro is your true brand new.
Okay.
So this one, a little bit more of a racehorse type hybrid. I want to say it's an Aquamax or either an 8 or a 9 on drought. I should know that. Nope, I'm wrong. It's 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, the 98 days of Aquamax. One of the things to watch out for is I believe this one, the tar spot score is a 4, so not quite as strong as.
I'm gonna just
Like-
circle those. Just
Yep.
all of them. I know that they aren't all in this, but that's a big topic, and it's something to.
And the double asterisk means kind of a preliminary score, so that might
Oh,
change if we see something. If we see it significantly stronger this year, they may up that to a 5. They may drop it to a 3. You never know. But that's something to keep in mind. We have genetics that are stronger on tar spot. This would be one that would be well paired with a fungicide, and you would expect it to respond better to a fungicide than some thoughts. That's a question we often get of where should I be spraying fungicide, or does this hybrid need fungicide? But what we see on yield with this 01851 in terms of kind of a high yield, high management type in that maturity range, it looks really good. Also looks good as a silage dual purpose option.
So, yeah, you know it. You've got growers that you know that you can play something with them, and they're going to push it. Their management's good.
Yep.
They don't drop the ball in anything.
Right.
So this is something you would place with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Where if they're a low input, harvest late, not going to spray type, I would put them towards either 0035 or 0075. Genetics will handle more of the diseases and agronomic issues,
Okay.
and not get you in trouble.
Okay.
If somebody's going to be not going to harvest corn until after permanent pile beets is done and it's got to stand out there, and I'm not going to spray it with fungicide. Okay, let's talk about 0075 maybe, that has really good stalks,
I'm trying to think what I'd call it. Sound qualities. How about that?
Yep. So we're pretty anxious to see what this one brings. Like I say, when you look at yield data from impact plots and research, it's really strong. 0035 been around quite a few years. It really sets the trend in terms of tar spot. That's really what
That's
put it on the
strong.
map.
I don't know if those will ever.
Yeah.
Good to see, I guess. Good fertility, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
This isn't our best ground on the farm. It's very representative, but I usually rotate my plots in the same 2 locations every year,
Yeah.
if I can.
This is one 0035. Just to look at the ear, you go, yeah, it's good corn, maybe not exceptional. When we get around to harvest time, one thing you'll see is there's such kernel depth on it. That's where a lot of the yield comes from. Got a really deep kernel, narrow diameter cob, and it weighs up. I tend to play well into the hand of a 0035 type that handles, you know, it's an Aquamax, so it handles the drought a little better. Got a pretty good disease package to it. I think this one could have a good year.
And this is only in an AM, right? AM
Yep. And Chrome.
Chrome.
Like I say,
And then conventional as well.
Yep.
Okay.
We may be bringing this forward as a PCE or Vorseed. Probably depends on whether we like anything right in this 100-day maturity as a new advancement. If not, they'll likely bring the PCE and Vorseed and try to hang on to the 0035 family for another year or two.
Okay. I'm just throwing out. So Chrome and AM and conventional. Do you see a lot of differences? Like, I should probably know this, but I don't. So that corn plant is just bred with a different, like, the AM trait.
Correct.
But it's still the true, like, if you were to plant this one, the AM, and you had, like, steady year for everything, and that's never happens, but if this was a AM, this was a Chrome, and this one was conventional, are you going to see any differences in them, really?
So, typically not. And it used to be, they've done a lot of work cleaning up the BT genes that we insert for, you know, the Chrome, the AM genes, the corn borer and corn rootworm stuff. Getting right into the heart of our grain maturities. We'll talk more on placement in here. So both of these are going to come as a PCE or a Vorseed. The 9955 is also available as a conventional.
Okay.
There might be just a little bit of 9845 AM seed left to use up, but we're just using up the supply that was there in older inventory. So, in terms of placement, 9955 is all about top end yield. Like last year, this thing was head and shoulders above anything else in this maturity segment, just because it seemed to really like that weather pattern last year. Fits well on better ground. It doesn't have quite as much drought tolerance or tar spot resistance as what 0035 does, but seems to have just one extra gear on the top end. When we've got fields that are hitting, you know, in the 260 to 280 range, this one seems to really shine. Really nice test weight too, where a lot of high yielding hybrids, that's one trade-off that you run into, is test weight can get a little borderline, where 9955, really nice golden grain, kind of a shallow dent to it. Nice looking sample coming out of here. $98.45. So this is another one that is an Aquamax. Not quite as strong on tar spot as what 0035 is, but can handle a little bit more of that variable soil. You know, if we've got some sand knolls, or like a sandy clay loam, 98.45 would probably handle the drought tolerance. And this is one, you know, you talk about differences of hybrid behavior when you switch traits. So 98.45, putting the PCE trait into it as opposed to the AM, we saw a bump of like 7 to 8 bushel. Mm-hmm. Same genetic family. For whatever reason, those genetics accepted that PCE trait, and bumped up the performance even more. So
This is what we've got on our farm.
yeah, it's a high volume product for us in our territory. Kind of go anywhere, dries down well. Yeah, it's a nice hybrid to have.
It was pretty good against competition last year.
Yeah.
It's like 14 against a competition, so
Yeah.
when you have double digits, it's always good. It's always good to show your father-in-law that, too.
Right. I heard you telling them between the rows. Did you guys plant any of the 9955?
No,
Or have you?
we don't plant a ton of corn. I think next year we're going to plant some different. We're going to,
Yeah.
now that I know a little bit more, we kind of relied more on the Mike Zeller to do that.
Right.
I mean, he knows. They know
Yep.
better than I do. So, yeah.
So I think similar to that discussion we had about the 01851 and the 0035, 9845 is one that won't get you in trouble. You can kind of place it on any soil type, and it can handle a lot of different environments where if you've got a high yielding, high management guy, 9955 will probably reward that high management. So 96567, new one in the mid 90s that we talked about, and then 98125. Notice is when they dry down and the lower leaves. Moving towards harvest. So 98-125 is a brand new one. This will come forward as a PCE and also
Seed.
a vor seed. The version in here is the PCE. Like I was mentioning earlier, this one's an Aquamax, so it's got the drought tolerance trait to it. Again, a little bit lighter on tar spot resistance, so this is probably one that would respond well to a fungicide. More of a high management type. Quite a bit of dent on these already.
When were these planted?
This would have been 514.
Okay.
So we see this as a companion with 9845, not necessarily a out and out replacement right away, but just to have another option in that zone.
Okay.
Good kernel depth to it. Yeah, that's well along. 96,567. So this one currently is as an AM and Chrome. We're going to be transitioning this into PCE and Vorseed,
Okay.
a genetic package or trait package. So this one was advanced in Canada first last year. So we had this an extra year in our testing. What we saw from it was just a little bit higher yield level, a little higher performance than 9624. The same really strong agronomics across the board, stalks and roots, emergence, good plant health and stay green, and really nice test weight. So it made sense to bring it forward as the AM and Q version a year ahead of time rather than wait on the PCE conversion. So we'll sell this one in the old trait package for a year and then transition into the new one.
Okay.
But it looks like a really nice versatile hybrid in that mid 90 day zone. just good consistent ears. You know, one of these that just doesn't have a lot of flaws. Nice kernel depth to it.
Yeah, big kernels.
It's moving along. Can't quite see a milk line on it yet, but there's a lot of starch in there. Consistency of ear height, ear size. If you've got 34 or 35,000 of these in an acre, that'll be a lot of corn for you. So 9466 PCE, 9489 as the AM. So 9489, it's an older hybrid, so it's only available with the AM, and it won't come forward with a new trait package. Think of this a little bit more like high management, a little bit of a princess hybrid, but a little higher nitrogen rates, a fungicide, higher management, early harvest guys. This is a really nice choice for them. I think about it, or I try to place it as like, if you got a guy with a lot of corn acres that is also doing beets, and they're in and out of beets during early dig, or even if we have some of those warm weather shutdowns, you know, an early permanent pile, they got to go do something for 3 days. 9489 will be dry enough to let them get in and get started on corn, but high yielding enough to compete with fuller season stuff too. So that's where we tend to position it. You can see there's going to be some corn here.
It's much of this sold.
No, just because it's kind of a niche of where we place it. We would sell more of the 9466 across the territory, just because it has more versatility to it. And in a lot of cases, it's not like 9489 completely blows this out of the water on yield, but if you got a guy really swinging for the fences, 9489 would probably give you just a tick higher top end. Season stocks, especially in a dry environment, it can cannibalize its stalks a little bit. What we have seen is a fungicide application really improves late season stalk integrity on 9489. Just keeps the plant a little healthier, keeps it photosynthesizing longer. Uh, 9466 is one, again, kind of a go anywhere. As we're moving earlier in that 90-day zone, this is one I'd be confident placing with anybody across pretty much any soil type. So it's moving along. Starting to get some firing, some senescence down in the bottom leaves.
Yep.
Won't be too long and you'll have some brown in the husk. Still not seeing much for disease. Which is a good thing. So 92,399. The PCE versions in here, we're also selling it as a vor seed. 91,083 PCE. The 92,399 is a early 90-day Aquamax, which is kind of a rare thing. A lot of times as you move earlier in genetics, they don't quite meet that Aquamax criteria. walk into shorter maturities, earlier maturities in plots, you can almost notice the difference in canopy too, where full season stuff, it's like you're walking in a jungle. Here, there's more sunlight penetrating through. Just tells you a little bit of difference in biomass is in there. 92.399 I really like as a pairing with the 94.56 family. Because of its plant health, it might run just a little bit later, like at 93 maybe. But it brings us a lot of yield too.
Bird's got into it a little bit more.
91 083 is going to be more of that true 91 day, so early 90s. Nice test weight to it. If somebody wants, again, if they don't have a dry air, or if they want something real early, this would be the way I'd steer them. This looks pretty good in here.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think it's a risk when you start doing your shorter day corn. Kind of
I agree.
sometimes
But
it pays off, sometimes it doesn't.
Over in your neck of the woods where guys might be over like closer to the lake and don't get as many GDUs as we get inland.
That's a decent looking air.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
And it's got,
90.
and like I say, it's got nice test weight to it.
Yeah.
That's good kernel depth.
You run test on all these.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Run through the cart or the yield.
Always the way wagon.
Yeah. I think that
Yeah.
the combine doesn't throw the right. I mean, it gives you a good idea of your farm, but it doesn't give
Right.
you
Our
exact.
weigh wagon gets calibrated every year by a state certified scale
Okay.
company.
And then we'll take it back, and Jeff's got a mini GAC.
Oh, okay.
2,500.
Yeah. Not a mini GAC,
Yeah, it's a full blown, like the
Actual
elevator
gas.
has.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, we need to get one of those. We have a little handheld, and that thing's a piece of junk.
yeah.
Yep.
Bex gave it to us. Just kidding. I don't know if they did or not.
But I like this 91 day on the earlier side of things.
Yeah, I like it.
This is the 82 day corn.
I know, that's what.
I don't see much damage to it either. So you don't get the kernel depth that you do in a lot of fuller season products, but with the test weight on this, there'll still be some grain here.
But I mean, everybody knows that you're not going to push an 82.
No,
day.
no.
You only do so much with them.
This can easily be 200 bushel corn, though.
What's that?
This can easily be 200 bushel corn in September.
Oh yeah,
though.
oh yeah. And I mean, you weigh out what your drying costs, and
Get
yeah,
that early sale potential if there is
yeah.
one.
Right?
I know Marysville's looking for it hard.
Yeah, they've been pretty aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It already has nice test weight to it. I mean, I think we do a pretty good job, Ryan Terry, of making sure that we have beans that'll handle our agronomic challenges. So white mold, I would say, is the biggest issue that we run into across the thumb area. Making sure we have Peking offerings kind of in every maturity segment. And then your seedling diseases, Phytophthora. Some of these have a stacked Phytophthora gene to them. Having the Peking offerings. So in general, our beans are pretty versatile, and you can make the selection more off of what is the maturity the guy's looking for. So like the 1.4s, you know, would be ultra early if they want to get weed in behind them, but it's not dry bean type ground. 1.4s work really nice. Moving into the 1.6s, so there's two 1.6 varieties. The Z25s are the newer of them. I would probably lean more in that direction, just because we're only going to support volume in two 1.6 beans for so long. So I think you'll see us shifting to this.
Do you ever see a spacing from 20 to 22 to 30? Do you ever see a different bean perform differently on spacings, or is it pretty across the board?
I would say the biggest thing we see, kind of independent of varieties, is as you narrow up beans, you tend to see narrower than 30s will perform a little better. The drawback is you're also bringing in an environment that promotes white mold. So like a 22, 20, 15-inch row, probably going to have to plan to manage that more for white mold.
Okay.
In certain instances, you can get where more of a upright and narrow canopy bean performs a little better in a narrower row, or a bigger, bushier canopy can handle these wide rows a little better.
So it's kind of looking at that. I mean, I'm used to the 22s over at our place. You can just see how bushy they are, and everything down below is just bulk on beans.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, in general, I wouldn't say you see major differences in
It's just your
variety.
disease.
Yeah. And the nice one, like these 16 Z25s, are 2 scores better on white mold than the Z42s that they'll be replacing.
Okay.
That's just such an important disease for us
It is.
locally.
And I mean, that's what we get knocked on hard too, is I feel like is within Pioneer. Everything else has it. Every other brand has it. Their issues too.
Yeah.
But that's one thing. And I think with the Z's coming out, I think that we're getting a better handle on it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
and historically, we've tended to have better agronomics in our beans. You look back at like even 92Y51s, 22T69s, they were a strong white mold bean. When we brought, first the Roundup 2 Extend trait and then the early enlist traits into the lineup, we integrated that with donor genetics. So Roundup 2 Extend came from the Bayer side of genetics. Enlist came with Stein genetics. They're more offensive, less defensive, bred for kind of the central soybean belt, not so much for environments here where we run into white mold problems. So as we've transitioned into our own genetics in these trait systems, we've tended to see performance go up quickly because of the agronomic improvements.
okay.
I've tried like heck to get 22A36s to have white mold. Broadcasted them, high populations. That's amazing. It's our own genetics. So it does make a difference.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
I guess we're on 22, so we also have a different. I mean, last year we saw some on some 2.3s, but it wasn't enough to make it. I mean, you were walking down it, and I mean, you might just have like one here. I mean,
Right.
It wasn't like normally there's one, there's a bunch, or there was maybe one or two. I mean,
And more
you're
and
going
more,
to have it. It's just a matter of health or severity, I think. But maybe I'm wrong on that.
I think we've learned some things from the dry bean world of if you're going to have a high yield environment and a big full canopy that keeps moisture down low in the canopy, keeps humidity high, we've got to, number one, pick a variety that's strong on white mold and then manage it with fungicides or Cobra or both. You know, we can't rely on the variety to do everything. Just like we don't in dry beans, you know. So. Oh, so there is a
15 maybe.
We do have some plenish in here now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's handy.
How does that work? So when you...
They'll all go to town.
He has a plenish contract.
Oh, so you'll harvest these and then you harvest these off.
Yep. So 18Zs, you know, this would kind of be the start of our prime maturity zone. You know, you'd be on the earlier side, but a lot of acres of late group 1 beans are planted here locally. Just a really nice all-around versatile bean. Good white mold score. They are a Peking variety that are very competitive on yield. So that removes an objection in terms of if the guy says, well, I gotta plant wheat. Here's the 1.9. It'll get ripe in time. If he wants to participate in the plenish program, this is a great option on the early side.
These are the 1.9s here?
Yep. So then next to it, you would have the 22 Ray 36s.
Okay.
Here's the split.
Yep.
These are your powerhouse ones.
Oh,
Yes. Yep. You can just see the plant height to them.
And I mean, you're talking... Look at that. I mean, you're talking beans all over the top. If
Yeah.
those fill out, I mean,
Yeah.
it would be a different story. I think they've tried enough time, but talking good
Some of
pods
them
there.
will. Yeah.
Yeah.
These have been amazing for me.
What's that?
This bean has been amazing for me. I can go, I've seen 85, 90 over big stretches out of that.
So, 21Z71s, if ever you're going to call a soybean offensive, I would probably point you more towards 21Zs. So, in a year where you don't have any white mold pressure and you're going completely top end yield, this one's going to be tough to catch. It's a little bit weaker on white mold, so if a guy's not going to take any measures to control it, then it's probably not the right fit. But in terms of all-out bean yield, these things were phenomenal. And you can just see how tightly stacked these pods are.
I mean, at our place, same thing. I mean, I think that they did better than the 2.3s.
Yeah.
And yeah, you might have a little bit more growth on the 2.3s, but I thought that these were really great, really good.
And again, a Peking, and you know, it's a 4 on white mold. It's not like it's a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little bit weaker.
What'd you end up spraying on these?
Valor, Metribuzin, Everprex. We also use Cobra, as well as Roundup.
Okay.
So here would be the data strip for the 22A36s. It'll be nice to have comparisons of the trait systems, because one of the questions that you get from guys that you're trying to sign up for the plenish program is, well, what's the yield drag? You know, how do they compare on yield to a normal enlist bean?
Better.
Well, here's,
Yeah.
we're going to have a chance to see it. You know, generally they're at least equal.
Yeah. Just a little, would you say a little higher management or not necessarily?
Not necessarily. I mean, other than the weed control side of it.
I mean, obviously don't put it into a field that mare's tail, or not mare's, or you said mare's tail, you got...
Water hemp, ragweed,
Yeah.
mare's tail.
Trifecta.
I gotta take nightshade out because these are seed beans. So
2.3s. I think this is a little bit more of a, you know, strong white mold bean, a little more agronomically stable compared to the 21Z71s. Can go across more soil types and give you more of a stable yield where that's more of a top end product. Again, a Peking cyst resistance. And this is generally about as late as we go. Jeff will sell a few of the little shorter, bushier plant. These would be the 22A36 planters
Okay.
next to them. Start getting up in the early fall season. Maybe down your way, you might get some guys that are,
I've been curious to try some 2As.
especially if you plant them early and like you're going for high yield. Actually, that 2.7 Z41, we had that one at Peters.
That first bean in, last bean out, that deal.
Yeah. We'll put a yield contest entry in for that one. As soon as they get to a high yielding field that's fit. And then the 2.6s, kind of that mid group, that's replacing the 25A16s. It is not a Peking, but gives you a little bit more plant architecture. Some of these fall season ones would fit better on sandy ground. Generally, you want to stretch bean maturities a little bit and hope that you catch a rain somewhere in there while they're still flowering and putting on pods.